Caleb, where are we? Did we travel back in time? Is
No,
this
look!
the Middle Age?
This must be the Dragon Age!
Dragon Age!
Inquisition!
Game of the Year! Is a fantasy RPG and a third title in the Dragon Age series.
The story is that you are caught in the right place at the wrong time and end up with a very mysterious mark on your hand, but that because of the circumstances, some people think you're the savior of the world and some people think you're going to doom the world. And you kind of get to decide which of them are correct.
And you're gonna start by creating your own character with quite complex system, more like in JRPG that you're used to. And you have 4 races to choose from: human, elf, dwarf or Kunari. Then you select classes. Your choice is the rogue as dual weapons, archer, warrior with two-handed weapon, or weapon and shield. Then you get to choose the difficulty. There's 4 different levels and even custom difficulty, so you can really customize it to your needs. And then you can enter a massive world called Tedas.
That world is not exactly an open world. It consists of a lot of different areas that you progress through as the story continues. In the beginning, they feel quite linear and you're kept on a pretty clear path, but the successive worlds that you enter become bigger, more open, more sandboxy, and cover a wide range of terrains. Everything you can imagine: jungles, deserts, mountains, snowy landscapes, and everything in between. The way to go from one map to the other in the beginning is to follow the main story, but then you can go back and explore the areas that you have unlocked.
And then you enter combat, which is one of the cores of the games. Combat is actually real-time with tactical overview mode, so you can pause at any time, just like in old school RPGs like Baldur's Gate. You can pause, divide actions, and then you can unpause. But this time you have even third-person view, so you can have it as a third-person action game as well. You just have a freedom to choose how you want to combat in this game. You're gonna be also able to improve with your new skills, new abilities. You're gonna be able to craft weapons and even modify most of the gear in the game, and have even mounts to ride on.
Another cool thing about the combat is that you have a party of 4 and you can switch between them to decide which one you want to play. You can switch often or stick with one character type. Whichever you choose, as you upgrade, you can have more and more combos, which means as everyone levels up, the explosive possibilities of what your group can achieve get more and more interesting. And the dynamics in the group are really a core mechanic of this game, because the relationships and the choices that you make have big effects on multiple branching storylines, lots of different possible endings, and you really feel that the choices you make do make a difference on which characters live and die and what happens to this world that you are starting to care about. One of the biggest factors in that is the dialogue wheel. You're familiar with this from many other RPGs. The dialogue, there's a lot of dialogue, it's voiced, and your response is going to depend on the options around that little wheel, usually connected with different character types. So it also nudges your personality type in certain directions.
And there's also multiplayer for up to 4 players co-op, but it is not the story that you get to play. It is a separate 4 maps. The last map you can even choose which dragons will be in that map, but unfortunately you cannot play the main story with friends. And we got Game of the Year edition that includes, as you would expect, some like new armors or skins, but more importantly 3 DLCs that will extend the story, so will add some time to your game time.
Speaking of game time, there is a lot that you can do in this. Even after finishing the main story, there are so many things to do, and it's possible, depending on how you play, that you will finish the main quest without even visiting some of the new areas of the map. And for example, the dragons in this game kind of act as like boss fights, but you might finish the main quest having only seen 3 of those dragons when in fact there are 10 in the game. So you can go back and have some more epic encounters with enemies. There are also lots of other things to do, like upgrading your keep. There are endless ways to improve the keep, to customize it to exactly the kind of home base that you want. There are lots of things to do with that even after completing the main story and most of the side quests. Overall, you could spend at least 50 hours in the game, but up to 150 hours, maybe even more than that if you really want to explore every corner of this game.
But the question is,
should you dragon it? But first, you should know that this game, the Game of the Year edition, is completely free from the Epic Games Store until May 23rd, 2024, as part of the big Epic Vault event where they're giving away a big AAA game every week for a month. Right now, you can claim it, add it to your library, install it whenever you want some dragon hunting fun. And that is what we do on this channel. We play and review every free weekly game from the Epic Games Store. Been doing it for 5 years now. So subscribe and you will never have to be bored ever again.
I think even 10 years after, this game aged well because it is all about the choices, interesting story, and less about visuals. The visual I find still okay, but you can tell it's an older game, but that is fine because RPGs like this age really well, even the dragon age. And without further ado, yes, you should definitely play it if you're a fan of RPG. If you're not, you're not gonna play this game anyway.
Yeah. I'm gonna make this simple. Yes, you should play it, but there are a few things that I really wish were better, and it is kind of artifacts of it being a 10-year-old RPG game. The main one for me is the camera. You actually have to hold down the mouse button to move down the camera, and that, like, playing RPGs is so instinctive for me. You know the keys, you know how things are going to move, and this one doesn't work that way.
You can play it on gamepad as well, then you don't have that problem.
I mean, I got used to it, but it definitely took me some time, and I almost quit a couple times before that just because it was hard to get used to. So be prepared for that. Something else that you have to be prepared to put a lot of time into the beginning before you really get to the meat of this game is like the first major map after the tutorial. You have to do so many of the side quests to build up your level of power before moving on in the story that it really feels like a lot of grinding right at the beginning of the story. If you can get through that, it really pays off as you start exploring more and more open worlds and seeing what the combat combos can really do. It gets really interesting, but be prepared. It's not going to be smooth and fantastic the first few hours in it. If that doesn't push you away, this is an incredible experience. It's a huge game, lots of things to do. So it's a pretty cool giveaway from Epic, and it's not going to be the last.
And if you are into RPGs, maybe you should watch next our review of Pillars of Eternity. Also, we got it from Epic for free, and also in Definitive Edition. It's another masterpiece RPG.
Right up there. See you next time.